What's up guys? I hope you're all doing well. I'm really excited for today's video because today I'm going to be talking about the first book that I read by Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements. And I have it here with me. Here's what it looks like. Before I get into this, I just want to start off by saying I highly recommend that you actually read these books. I understand that for a lot of people, reading is not really their thing. There's a lot of people who don't really like reading, and I used to be one of those people. But now I love it, specifically only really reading these books. It's still hard for me to read different kinds of books like storybooks, and I know that some people, that's like all they're into. So it's kind of hard for people to read like self-help books, but that is pretty much what these books are, and I highly recommend even giving them a shot. And if you don't like it, that's totally fine. I'm here for you, and I will be making these videos to help kind of better understand the main topics and main ideas in these books. And today we're doing The Four Agreements, so let's get into it. Now, I have my computer here. I have a whole lot of stuff written down because there's a lot that I want to touch on, but I still want this video to be very authentic, so I didn't want to be reading off of paper like I did in my last video. I found that it was really annoying not only to edit all those clips, but I also just didn't want that many clips. I wanted to be authentic and real, and I want you to really get to know me, not just me reading. But just so you know, if I am looking down, it's because my computer is right here and I might be reading off of it. Okay. This is the first book that I, on my own, decided that I wanted to read. That I like literally asked my mom and was like, I really want this book, and I went to Barnes & Noble's and I got it. And I started reading it that day, and I never wanted to put it down. And so that's kind of the vibe that I want to give with these videos. So I want to help enlighten you to a point where like you don't want to stop watching the video and you just hope that I keep coming out with new videos the same way that I couldn't get enough of reading these books. Reading this book was the start of the change in my perspective. It was the first time that I stopped hoping that people would understand me and started understanding myself. I've had way too many conversations with people who do not see or understand their own worth, who think they are broken or who think that they are not enough. And let me tell you, I have been there too. That is why I want to make this YouTube channel and why I'm coming out with these videos, because I didn't have someone like me to look up to or to talk to, and I felt like I had a question for everything, and I was so lost and I was so trapped in my mind and in this fake synthetic like reality that society has created. But yeah, so this book was definitely my wake-up call, and this is where it all started. So that's why I wanted to start here with this book when I'm talking about this instead of just jumping into everything. I want it to be very cohesive, and yeah, hopefully I can just help you out and make this as easy and best as possible. I want to start talking about the first agreement, which is to be impeccable with your word. This means to speak with integrity and honesty. But the core message in this agreement is that our words shape our reality, especially the ones we say to ourselves. As Don Miguel says, the word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. So if you speak negatively about yourself, when you look in the mirror, you're going to see all of those things that you nitpick and judge. And the more that you show these insecurities around other people, the more they will see them in you. This is kind of weird because it can kind of go both ways. So if you're a very insecure person and you tend to talk a lot about your insecurities, maybe around people, it's kind of hard to think about, but those people will actually start to see you that way. The way that you see yourself is really important for the way that other people around you are going to see you. This goes for if you're an incredibly confident person, you will likely not have people like come up to you and say mean things or say judgmental things to you, because they already know that what they say is not going to affect you at all, because you are already so whole and you already know your worth so much that nothing anyone can say can change that. And that can also go for if you're very insecure, if you have really no self-esteem, no confidence. If someone tells you you're so great, you're so amazing, you're gonna doubt them. You're not gonna believe them because you already yourself have made an agreement and a decision in your mind that you are not good enough, and you already believe that. The way you view yourself will reflect how other people see you. Confidence is one of the most powerful skills you can have, because if you already know your worth, no one else's opinions are going to even touch you. They shouldn't bother you or affect you at all, because you're already so confident. You already know you. Why would you want to take advice from someone who has never lived your life, who has no idea what it's like to be you? In another quote of Miguel's, he says, You can measure the impeccability of your word by your level of self-love. When I read that, I realized I was trash talking myself every single day. I never speak to a friend the way I spoke to me, and I thought that that was normal. I remember a time when I genuinely hated myself. The word that I used at the time was loathed. I would avoid my gaze in the mirror because I couldn't look at myself with one nice thing to say. I would judge myself so hard before anyone had the chance to beat me to it. Every time I thought I was judging something that would have been judged by others, I was actually just assuming what others wouldn't like and judging myself harder than they would, almost like a punishment. Growing up when I was younger, I used to have a mole right above my eyebrow, right here. When I was really young, I loved it. I thought it was beautiful and I thought it was unique. And then as I got older and I went to school and I got a phone and social media, I realized there were people who didn't feel the same. I would get told there was shit on my face or asked if I was Indian, referring to like a bindi. Although these kids and I didn't know better, their reaction to my face was hard to come to terms with. I started to notice when I was talking to people, their eyes would be staring above my eyebrow. And I was usually referred to as the girl with the mole. But I knew I was so much more than that. However, I made the decision to get it removed. I told myself I was doing it because I truly wanted to, and I did. But I do wonder if had no one ever commented on it, if I would still have it to this day and if I would still be just as confident as I am now. But I realized that that whole experience taught me so much about myself. That whole learning experience led me right here to making this video. And maybe had those things not happened, I might not be where I am now and I may not even have the same level of self-love. And so for that, I'm grateful for it. Gossip is poison, okay? Anytime you gossip about someone else or you are using your word, your voice, and your energy to spread something negative, and it does nothing good for you or that person. So why don't we use our word to be kind, not only to ourselves, but to others as well? Speaking with love and authenticity is living with power. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. This one is really big. The core message here is that what people say and do is about them, not you. In Don Miguel's words, nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. This hit me hard.
Chloe, I'll be back in a little bit.
Bye, love you. This hit me hard. I used to take everything personally. Rejection, silence, even people being distant. I thought it meant something was wrong with me. Here's another quote for you though. Turns out most people are just trying to survive their own story. And that's really the truth. It's like everyone is in their own reality, in their own mind, and it's completely different from yours. And most people are just trying to survive the life and reality that they've honestly created for themselves without even knowing it. We think that this is so far out of our hands, so far out of our control, but it's not. In fact, ourselves, that's the one thing that we can control. And I'm just hoping that I can help you see a little bit more on how you can do that. I've had many times when I took something personal that honestly had nothing to do with me. For example, one time my friend invited me out to go get boba with her and another friend of ours for her birthday. She told me pretty early in the day that it was planned for later that night. I was excited and I had gotten ready and everything. It was around the time I was told we would hang out and get picked up. I don't drive, by the way, so I need to get picked up. So I checked my friend's location and they were already at the boba place. I was confused and immediately thought they must have just not wanted to see me or hang out with me. I didn't text or say anything about it. They even came over to my house after with their boba in hand and never mentioned how I was invited and forgotten about. During the hangout, I was disappointed and I definitely didn't have as good as a time as I hoped I would. But I was only upset and hurt because I took it personally. Since it was my friend's birthday, I'm sure she was super busy and stressed out. It was a simple mistake and she had just forgotten. If I had any advice, it would be to communicate without blaming or taking it personally. Understand anything could be going on in that person's mind or life, and it is not a reflection of you. This agreement gave me peace. It felt like it gave me my power back. I stopped wasting energy trying to decode people, and instead I just trusted myself. The third agreement is don't make yourself. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. The core message behind this agreement is that assumptions create unnecessary pain. Ask, clarify, be real. As Don Miguel says, we make assumptions, we misunderstand, we take it personally, and we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. For nothing, guys, for nothing. I used to overthink everything. Texts, conversations, tone, looks. I'd create entire stories in my head that weren't even close to true. We make so many assumptions about all kinds of things. Why our food is taking so long, how someone will react, a diagnosis, people's answers, all sorts of things. It's almost become second nature to us to just assume. Usually based off of, well, not usually, it is based off of all of our previous knowledge, because that's all we have. All we have to base anything off of is our previous experiences and our previous knowledge. So of course we're going to try to make connections between what maybe could possibly be happening or what is happening or something that looks similar to something that has already happened to us. And if that was something bad, then maybe you're going to associate that with a negative feeling or just bad energy, you know? But we don't know anything to be true for sure. Like all of these assumptions, stories we make up in our head, none of it is true. None of it even really has proof behind it. It's just that we've taken these tiny little clues, energy and matter, and trying to turn it into a story. But it's not necessary. We don't have to do that. We can trust ourselves and trust the universe that everything is going to work out in our favor, because look where it's gotten you. You're still here, right? You've probably accomplished so much. And I don't mean to say probably, actually. You have accomplished so much. And I mean that. But if we don't have any proof behind these assumptions, then why do we believe them? For example, if you also struggle with bad anxiety, maybe before you go somewhere, you try to imagine how it will go. As you imagine, maybe you realize a pit in your stomach forming. The truth is, you have no idea what is about to happen next in your life or how any future interaction is going to go. The unknown can be scary, but most of the time, the stories we make up in our head are scarier. The moment I learned to just ask instead of assume, my life became so much lighter. I didn't have to worry because I could just ask and figure it out and find out and then be at peace with that answer. Instead of just going through all these stories in my mind and eventually spiraling, which we don't want. All right, the last, fourth, and final agreement is to always do your best. The core message for this one is that your best will change. Don't use that as an excuse not to try. And don't beat yourself up when it looks different day to day. Like Miguel says. I wonder how many times I've said that. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. Like Miguel says, your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. I used to think doing my best meant to be on point all the time. But healing taught me that showing up tired or even just surviving the day can still be my best. And that is enough. You don't have to work so hard, exhaust your body every single day. Let's use working out as an example. Just showing up, doing one thing, moving your body in one way, you are showing up, and that could be your best for the day, especially if you're tired, if you feel exhausted, anything like that. That is your best, and that is good enough. That is good enough, okay? You might show up the next day and might do a whole circuit, and then go for a run afterwards. That is your best that day, and that's great, but try not to compare it to the day before because you were feeling different, and your best was different that day. So just have a little compassion for yourself and a little leeway and some sympathy. Just kind of be patient with yourself, and I promise you it will help you so much in the long run, okay? There's no need to stress yourself out over things that do not need to be stressed out about. Do you remember a time when you studied really hard for a test and maybe you took the test and you didn't exactly get the grade or the score that you wanted? Maybe it was a little worse, but that is okay. I promise you, even though you put so much effort and so much work into studying for that test, the result that you got was the result of your best. And that is what matters, okay? It's not, it's not like you weren't trying. You absolutely tried. And it doesn't mean that you could have tried harder. You did your best, and that is what matters. These 4 agreements really were the start to me waking up to myself. They are not rules to follow. They're truths that help you remember who you really are. The last quote I want to leave you with from Mr. Miguel would be that you don't need to be accepted by others. You need to accept yourself. And if no one's told you today, you're not broken, you're not behind, and you don't need to earn your worth. I'm so grateful that you tuned in and that you're here, and I really hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.